Hey guys, Andy back here from Mediocre Hobbies. Today bringing you another battle ready painting tutorial. Today's video is basically a part 2. We are continuing on from the Beast Snagga tutorial we did 2 videos ago based on the Beast Snagga boy model. Well, now that we've seen a much more extensive range of models for the Beast Snaggas, and they include a lot of squigs, I thought I would show you guys how to get a squig model done up using contrast washes and a couple of dry brushes to make sure you can get that army done nice and quick. The squig model we will be using is the knob-on Smasha Squig. So that's the boss from the army box that we got. And we'll paint the character go on top of it off camera. You will have seen all the techniques to do that in the first video, and then I'll put them together at the end so you can see what a full model looks like. I really hope you like the video. Stick around to the end and let me know what you think. Thanks guys.
So here's the Smasha Squig model that we'll be using for this tutorial. As you can see, I've already prepped him. It was very simple, bit of sand on the base. I then sprayed him entirely with Chaos Black and then zenith him with Grey Seer spray. Quick and easy, but I think it's a great starting point for the model. The first thing I'm going to use Magos Purple. I'm going to be applying this to his lips and all the sores and stuff around his body. So anywhere where augmetics, so skin meets metal with stitches and stuff like that. This will get covered up later on with orange, but there will be a slight undertone just to show the idea of like sore skin and stuff. It's a quick and easy step. You don't have to be careful with it at all and use your imagination for where you think it should be. You can do a bit on his nose and stuff like that if you want to, just to break it up. I won't. Like I said before, I'm going to stick to the lips, and as you can see what I'm doing here, just kind of model stabbing it around his stitching and where his leg meets his body. I also like stabbing it over the augmetic bits around his body just to get that sore look, like I said. There we have it. Quick and easy step, but it adds a little bit at the end. The next thing we're going to be doing is the main color of the body, so Griffhound Orange contrast, and we're going to be covering the entire model minus his, basically his metallic leg and his saddle, with this color. Like I've said in previous videos, make sure that you're loading up your brush quite a lot with contrast. You want to let the paint do the movement for you, so the paint moves around the model. You don't want to be kind of dragging or scraping paint around a model trying to get it into nooks and crannies. You want it to flow there by itself. This will stop that brush streaking effect that you see from other people using contrast. Hopefully give you a smoother coat. You have to be careful with pooling, but it's easily avoidable. Use a brush and soak up the excess paint again. Because all these other colors will be painted something else. You don't have to be particularly neat. It's going to be one of the quickest steps you do, is getting this orange on. So when I've gone over the lips and purple bits, I add a tiny drop of water to the contrast just to thin it out a little bit, just so that purple shows through a little bit more. And then it's back to normal consistency contrast, straight out of the pot onto the middle. And there we have it. There's all of the orange applied to the miniature. Nice clean coat. All the nooks and crannies got. I do love me on orange squig. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we are going to use the skeleton horde contrast, and we're going to very quickly throw a first coat of this over his teeth and over his nails, so his little paws or hooves or whatever you want to call them. This doesn't have to be a particularly good coat, it's just getting the idea of it, making sure to get it deep into the mouth, so then we layer up with a bright bone later on that in the recesses is something close to the teeth color. See what I mean here, just trying to get the dark brown color. The next thing we're going to move over to is the Gorgunta fur contrast, and we are going to use this color for all of the leather. So the straps going around his torso and his saddle. I apologize for the video quality in this part. The camera seemed to want to focus on my hand more than it did the miniature, but I think you can still get the idea from it. So be careful with this going around the strap around the stomach, because the Gorgonta fur is a lot darker than the orange and it will cover it over. Whereas on the saddle, you don't need to be careful at all. That bit in front is going to be metallic soon, so go nuts. I'm going to load up the brush with a lot of Gorgonta fur here, just so I can get it into all those cracks. There we go. That's all of the bits on the miniature that need to be Gorgonta fur, Gorgonta fur. The next thing we're going to do is move over to the metallic side of things. So we're going to take out old trusty, which is lead belcher, and we're going to block in all of the metallics. As you can see, I've already done his bionic leg there. Going to move over to the canister on his back. God only knows what this canister is pumping into this poor creature. Some go faster juice. But yeah, block in all the metallics, all the augmetics, his flagpole and all the pipes. Take your time going around bits like this. Like I said before, if you get this on the orange, it'll be really hard to cover over. But it really sets the model off. And lastly, that big head plate of his. One solid coat of lead belcher all over. And here we are. These are all the metallic parts done on the Smasha Squig. As you can see, that breaks the model up by quite a lot. Now, to break up the amount of silver that there is, we are going to throw some Balthasar gold onto some of the cog work and the symbol on his head here, just to break it up just a little bit. Very quick job. There's no rule for where the gold bits can be. Just whatever stands out to you. You can do piston arms. As you can see, the bracket that holds his flagpole to the back of the saddle, I've decided to do in gold. And the metal straps going around that canister on his back, I'm doing gold. Okay, now we move on to my favorite part of painting a miniature, which is the shade stage. So the shade I've gone for this time is Reichland Flesh Shade. This will help with that natural hue to the orange, making it actually feel like orange skin as opposed to on a piece of orange armor plate or something like that. So load up your brush quite a lot, and then just start slapping it on, making sure to get it into all the nooks and crannies, and pull away any parts that start to pool. Lips, teeth, all the metallics, basically all over the miniature with a wash. Okay, once the shade has dried, this should be what you're left with. A model where all the colours have been pulled together. They all match. It all feels like a uniform colour scheme. Now it's time to bring some of those colours back up again. We're going to start with the skin. So it's going to be a two-stage dry brush. We're going to start with Troll Slayer Orange, using a medium dry brush. Once again, I use my hand to remove a bunch of the paint, so I get a proper feel for it. And then I directionally dry brush downwards, catching all those ridges, all those bumps, and all that amazing detail on his face. Beautiful, beautiful face. This stage can be quick and dirty. I don't know what you're thinking. What about you hitting all the metallics? What about you hitting any of the saddle? Anything like that? Don't worry, when we come back to doing the layering of the metallics, we can repair anything that we kind of messed up. So this is where you should be like with the orange after the dry brush has happened. Now for the crazy stage. I am now going to give the skin a dry brush with Ushapti Bone. Some of you may be thinking that I'm crazy, but hold your opinion to the end. Let me know what you think. Same as before, take off the majority of the Ushapti Bone on my skin. And same again, a dry brush, exactly the same as before, but much lighter. Just catching a bit of that detail. Already I think you can see a huge difference in that. Bit of a smudge down the wrong spot, just a quick wipe and it's gone. And then continue dry brushing. Catching those lips and the detail in his face. I mean, look at that for 2 seconds work. I wouldn't be upset putting that on a table at all. Continue the dry brushing, making sure you get all parts of the model. Remember to go quite light with dry brushing. You can always add more while dry brushing. It's much harder to take paint away. And here is the model after the dry brush has been complete. I took the opportunity to use the Ushabti bone on my brush to dry brush up the leather as well, catch all those raised edges. And I would be very happy to leave the leather just like that. For a model that just got a contrast, a shade, and 2 dry brushes, I think it looks fantastic. If you've got a lot of these to do for your army, then yeah, this may be the way to go. Jump back to Ushabti bone really quickly. This time we're going to use a small brush. And we're just going to layer up his teeth and his little thumb bones really quickly. You don't have to go crazy with this, just a nice coat of paint. Like I've said in previous videos, these are the focal points of the miniature. So when anyone walks over to the table, has a look at your model, they're going to be looking at things like his teeth, his face. Spend a little bit more time on them. Now you're going to back over to the lead belcher to pull the original lead belcher back up a little bit. Use the base coat to highlight again. These are orcs, so their colours are supposed to be quite dark, so I wouldn't have any really bright metallics on them. Very simple, just throwing on a bit of highlighting. These are the bits I was talking about before where the dry brushing may have gone over them quite a lot, but a few touches up with the silver paint. And there we have it. And the silver on the, I don't know what you would call this, his head pudding plate. Add a bit of silver to that. Also going to use the lead belcher and touch up the gold a little bit. Dark silver is a great highlight for gold like this. So you can see I just throw a few flecks of silver paint over the gold. Nothing too fancy. There we go. And the last step for this miniature is just a quick dot of Mephiston red just for his beady little eyes. So with this I actually swapped down to a really tiny brush because I don't want to be hitting that orange paint scheme with my red paint. Once again, it's one coat. The eyes are so small that I won't be going into any crazy detail with them. One coat of red. I've also finished basing up the miniature just to add to the aesthetic. It's a simple basing scheme, but this is what the Squig miniature should look like at the end of painting. I'm personally quite pleased with how this turned out. It's a very easy scheme to change colors with. Just do everything exactly the same. Just swap out the orange for red or yellow or green or whatever the hell you like to do with your squigs. But yeah. I've also thrown a base coat and wash on the rider on top. I know it's not part of the video, but I just want you guys to see what it would look like actually having the rider on top of it. And how that breaks up the orange even more. All in all, it's a really cool model to lead a little orc army around. I love how the dark base really makes the bright colours pop. Now we'll just give you guys a quick 360. One last little gawk at the model. Then here's what the model will look like in a small force. So you can see what a boy will look like next to it, and you'll also see what it looks like with the rider on top. That's the miniature from my first Beast Snagga painting video. So if you want to know how I painted him, jump over to that video and have a check it out.
And there we have it, guys. We managed to get that squig painted up really quickly. Contrast for base coats as usual. A nice wash to knock it all back down again. And then some dry brushing and some selective highlights really made the whole model pop. I love the amount of augmetics on this guy. It really breaks up all that skin and a quick, simple basing scheme. And I think it looks great. I hope you like the look with the guy I put on top of him. Like I said, I used all the techniques from the first video to do that. So if you want to see how I painted the rider on top, just go back to that first video and it's all exactly the same techniques. If you guys enjoyed that video, please think about subscribing to the channel, giving the video a like. One of the things I would like you all to do is if you go down to the comment section and tell me the thing that helped you the most from this video, just so I know that the kind of content I'm creating moving forward is really useful and really helpful for you guys. Hope to see you in the next video. Bye.
Remember, the plan is simple. We paint them all.